Good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody. My name is Sarah, and today I want to talk to you about an actually pretty amazing novel, The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. Now, The Invisible Library is Genevieve's debut novel, and for a debut novel, it's absolutely amazing. Now, it does have some flaws, and I am going to address that in this video. But you have to understand, this book is something that's very difficult to find. It has a very unique plot and storyline, and it sucks you in a way only a setting can do. It makes you want to be in this story, and it makes you want to feel what the characters feel. Even though they're put in some life and death situations, it's quite a unique experience, and I highly recommend this book. Now, in terms of the writing style, there's nothing hugely unique or special about it, but it is very tight. It doesn't overword or over-explain some things, but it gives you enough information to understand and become invested in the story to make you truly want to continue reading. In the very beginning of the novel, we are introduced to our main character, Irene. And Irene is a librarian. She works for this library that exists in between dimensions. And this library tasks these librarians to go out into the field and gather these rare books from other dimensions and other worlds to preserve them, to store them, and research them. Now, the librarians themselves are split up into 2 to 3 different factions, almost. There's the older librarians, the head librarians, the people who have lived their life outside and now like to remain inside the library to continue research and studying these books that they have collected. While they're inside the library, they cannot age. But once they feel that they've lived their life, they'll leave the library to go live out in a world relatively peacefully until the end of their days. Now, the junior librarians are the ones sent out into the field to retrieve these books. They're put into life and death situations almost every mission, and their only reward is getting these books and coming back to the library, only to be sent out on another mission. The third faction, the trainees, people who have yet to get the brand of the library marked on their back, yet to learn to speak the language. The language of the library is what allows librarians to be librarians. They can speak a certain language that gives them the ability to command things. In the beginning of the novel, Irene is being chased down by stone gargoyles, and she commands them using her language to cease their movement and to fall from the sky. And they do. They want to return to stone. Now, this book, because the characters are traveling to different dimensions, we are introduced to magic and different sciences and different ways this almost chaos is introduced to these worlds. Chaos-infected worlds are a huge part of the story, and they're seen as dangerous and almost worthy to avoid entirely. However, our main character, Irene, is sent to one of these after she's tasked with her next mission. Coming with this mission is a new apprentice. His name is Kai. Kai is a mysterious person. We almost learn nothing about his backstory, though it is hinted at throughout the plot. But that's another thing I want to address later in terms of things that I have trouble with. Now, Irene and Kai are sent into this chaos-infested world to retrieve a very special copy of the Grimm Brothers book, something that sets it apart from all the other Grimm books in any other dimension. Now, this universe that they're traveling to is chaos-infected. There's fays, there's magic, there's Victorian-style zeppelins. Something that exists in between universes are known as dragons, and they're supposed to come into chaos-infected worlds to cease the chaos. But this universe is lacking the dragons. There's still chaos everywhere. Irene speculates that is because this world has its own balancer to the chaos. The fae and the magic involved is being balanced out with the technology and logic that these people have. These strict dress codes and social standards are all set in place to resist the chaos. Now, when I'm describing this book to my friends, as I often do because they see me reading it literally all the time, I describe it as book lovers using books to defend the multiverse. I absolutely love books with multiverse, storylines with multiverse, because it gives so many different options for fan fiction and art creators and anything you really want to do. The fandom itself can do almost absolutely anything because these characters have to constantly adapt and change into the environment they're put in. So you have these characters and you can do anything with them. When I'm talking about characters, though, there are a couple problems I have with them. There's not much character description when given to each person. Some characters are given a very complex description but you can't really visualize them. A fae is seen as elegant with pointed ears and long silver hair, but you don't really get a facial structure outside of that. Kai, one of our main characters, his leading description is the fact that he's hot. What one person's idea of hot is can be completely different from another. So you can have clashing ideas of what this character looks like. Now, this book has thievery and magic and detective work and is absolutely amazing, especially since our main character is a book lover. You can always get invested in a book if your main character loves books just as much as you do. But she doesn't have much motivation outside of that. Her task is to get a book for the library. And when asked what the library's purpose is, her only answer is to preserve. These characters lack motivation outside of their orders. And one of these characters who goes against their orders has no motivation to do so. They have spite and anger and emotion, but they have no motivation. What they're doing is simply for the sake of the plot. You don't understand it as a reader. The plot itself doesn't really hold up that well when you stop to think about it. It almost revolves around the setting entirely, and the setting feels like it's missing something almost. The library's purpose is to preserve, to research and understand, but they can't do anything with their research. Their understanding is to only further their language, and they can only use their language to retrieve more books to further their language. It's just back and forth that I feel like might only be focused on in future books, but at the moment, you don't really understand it, and it kind of falls apart if you think too much about it. A lot of these characters also don't have very good setup. Motivation and plot, yes, but the setup kind of is lacking. There's reveals and revelations in this story, but you don't really see it beforehand. And when you see something beforehand, it often doesn't follow through. Now, this book is introducing you to a multiverse. So you have to understand you're going to need a little bit of information going into this. This book does a very good job about not giving you info dumps until the end. In the very end, it repeats information that we have already figured out throughout the book. It almost feels like they're not trusting us, that we're being retold this information because the author is worried that we don't understand what happened in this novel. I highly recommend The Invisible Library for anyone looking to pick up a good book. This is the first book in a trilogy, and I entirely plan on picking up the next two books because I love it so much. The next book is The Masked City, and I can't wait to see where the author takes it. Overall, I give this book a 9 out of 13. It does have some obvious flaws, but I did quite enjoy it, and I look forward to reading the next in the series. Thank you so much for watching my review. If you have any suggestions on what you want me to read next, please leave them down in the comment section below. I can't wait to see what you guys suggest. And if you like my video, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, good night, good evening, and good morning, everybody.